So let's talk about Marvel. We know there's a lot of big projects coming up with Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, Fantastic Four is going to kick off this summer with those characters and moving towards the Doctor Doom and Doomsday and then Secret Wars. Now, when it comes to a lot of the old cast coming back, a lot of people are going to die. Like Patrick Stewart is coming back with Charles Xavier. I would assume he's going to be dead in that film. He's died like what, four times already, or I think this would be his fourth time in the Marvel universe. And then we have Ian McKellen coming back as Magneto. And it makes sense to kill off those characters because they're very old. And when you're bringing in a new Age of X-Men, you want to transition off the old characters and have a smooth transition. So that makes sense, in my opinion. Now, what's funny is they're going to reportedly try and race swap Professor X. Now, this is just a rumor. It's not true. I wouldn't be surprised if this does take place because we've already seen characters who have a particular race and they change it up just because they want to fit whatever agenda they're pushing in Disney with the DEI stuff. I wouldn't do this if I'm Disney. I would just go to James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender as the previous editions who came after Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, where they did a great job. I know there's some flops during those films, but I thought First Class was really good. Days of Future Past was really solid. And we care about those characters, right? Because they've been part of the universe. They had a really good origin story, both of them. We saw their struggles where, James McAvoy, he used to walk and then he got in a wheelchair as Professor Xavier. We saw Michael Fassbender with his childhood trauma. That was really cool. And if we just remove them out of the picture, what are we doing now? You might call me racist, a bigot, whatever. But I think when it comes to just changing things just to change things, it's going to upset some fans out there. They're not going to like that at all. And let's just also talk about, we understand that the inspiration of X-Men was from MLK and also Malcolm X, where Charles Xavier was inspired from Martin Luther King and Magneto was inspired by Malcolm X. So maybe that's why Disney wants to head in this direction. The problem is you've got all these other projects and movies and TV shows, which you have forced this on people and they haven't liked it. So it makes you think they're just going to accept the changes here, especially when you have a Rest Project in Doomsday, Secret Wars. There's no continuity right now in the Marvel Universe. I've already said countless times that they should have just started from scratch with just standalone TV shows and movies and not build up this universe where you're trying to reach this expectation where folks are going to be excited. It doesn't have the same type of feel like it had for Endgame and, of course, for Infinity War because you had Thanos, you built them up. Yes, there were some projects with the movies where it didn't do too well. But at the end of the day, there was a sense of direction. Right now, there's no sense of direction right now. And of course, the Russo brothers are back. They're probably going to do some reboots and have some characters killed off. But I don't know if I would head in this direction, in my opinion. Now, let's also talk about another interesting choice that is being reported about Storm. And there are talks about Cynthia Erivo eyed for the Storm in the reboot cast. This would be a terrible mistake. We know the conference where she appeared talking about they, them. It was just ridiculous, trying to act like her life was miserable. She's a multimillionaire. She did great in the Wicked film, but she was out there lecturing fans, and it's just really annoying. People in Hollywood are so out of touch with reality. So Cynthia Erivo is potentially going to play the role of Storm, and I don't think she looks anything like Storm. I don't think she should get the role, but I think for Marvel, they're like, you know what? She's popular. She's got all this attention. We saw the success of Wicked. Why not give her a chance? I don't think that's a good idea. I think a great idea would be to select somebody like DeWanda Wise. She's been in Jurassic Park and other films. I think she would make a great Storm. In fact, she's talked about, hey, I'd like to play Storm. I think it would be a great idea. Now, this was back in January 19th, 2025. And let me actually pull the article for you. She was rumored to play the film, but nothing since. I would like to see DeWanda Wise as Storm because she looks more like Storm, and I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. I think she's 40, so she fits the age range and would fit really well with James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender with their timelines because they're in their 40s. So why not go in that direction? It would be much better casted in Cynthia Erivo. It would be terrible if you pick her. I don't think that's going to go over really well with the fans, and people are just not going to like her as Storm. So I don't know what Marvel's thinking here. They continue to, make selections that has you asking questions, has you wondering, what are you doing here? Why do you select this for, these characters? It's just bad casting, in my opinion. And then you look at the race swapping. If that does happen, I don't think you're gonna have a lot of fans left, and Marvel might just go through an entire reboot, and we don't have any comic book movies for a while, which I think would be a good thing. I think this whole universe, the content that they're pushing, it's a combination of wokeness going on and also Marvel fatigue. People are just tired, in my opinion, of superhero films. And when you're constantly putting out content and you're moving off what you just built, and you have all those OG characters, and you're bringing the Sunman back. Of course, Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. There's rumors about where Captain America, Chris Evans, went back in time and actually created Doctor Doom. I hope that doesn't happen. But I understand what you're trying to do there. I just think it's going to end in a massive flop and failure. And you're trying to move to X-Men. You want to have the right casting, the right people. I don't think Cynthia Erivo would be a great idea. And, when it comes to like changing people's skin colors, like I've already said, I think Miles Morales makes a lot of sense because he's got a great background. He's got a great story and people care about that. When you're just changing characters just to change them, that doesn't make sense. Same energy. Like if they race swap Miles Morales, that would make any sense. That'd be dumb. So I just don't know why they continue to do this and act like they're not going to face a consequence because people aren't going to receive it really well, in my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the rumors about potentially race swapping Professor Xavier. Cynthia Erivo getting a potential role as Storm. Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Let me know. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.